Pyramid S-Course. Pyramid S-Course is an AI security scanner, image recognition system, Mecco safe browsing to keep the children safe. So the basic idea is that AI could scan the abyss of pornographic imagery online and be able to recognize it and remove it in the future. Meaning, so AI would remove pornography from the internet to keep children safe, because I don't see any other way you're going to be able to prevent people from with how easy access is. I don't see how you'd be able to prevent this, and I think that adult entertainment is better off inside of video stores in a restricted section of the business that only adults can go into, meaning you have to show your ID to go into that section, like how it used to be, right? And this happens because of Peyronie's disease and the dark web. It was about young men who were getting a hold of smartphones and easily, like boys who were getting a hold of smartphones at the age of 9 and 10, and then having easy access to X videos online, which is a site that doesn't require age verification. And these young men, by the time they reached 28 years old, they had developed crooked penises, sore boner syndrome, Peyronie's disease from having watched porn excessively. They became this guy in the streets of Haiti narcotics, participating in what is called real DMT. They were covering themselves in cigarette burns and trying to snuff homeless porn stars in the dark web, you know? And so, and I want to say that I don't think age verification by using your ID and your credit card, I think that is also a recipe for disaster, because you can, like, you become a part of an online database, and that ties into Peyronie's human trafficking. So let me explain. There are radicals in medical who believe in gender race science, and they believe that some races are more prone to Peyronie's disease than others. They believe that those who are prone to Peyronie's disease are the confirmed diseased race according to computer science, the confirmed diseased race that needs to be destroyed and removed from the species. This is what radical medical peoples, a lot of these people in the Bay Area, this is what a lot of those people, there's many people who believe that. They believe, the people who get Peyronie's disease from masturbation to pornography, they believe that those men who get Peyronie's disease from masturbation are the confirmed diseased race. And so right now in the dark web, you have a war with LGBTQ radicals saying that a certain race of people need to be destroyed. You know, that's what radicals are saying. I call this this mixed group of men, this racially mixed group of men, the Eukrosics, because they have a mix of Euro descent. Hitler argued that the Slavs and the Jews were the diseased race, right? The diseased races. And Hitler talked a lot about Jewish perversion, how young Jewish men were likely to be the ones to jerk off so much that they would injure themselves. All of that is in Mein Kampf, paraphrased, but it is there. And so So the sad reality of the porno tech advance that happened was radicals in the medical industry saying that, oh, any man beneath a certain age who gets Peyronie's disease has a flawed gene, right? And so the reality of when pornography, when the floodgate opened, when the smartphone was introduced and social media took over, right? Porn became too prevalent in the culture. Like, it became too much of our ideas as a species because of the internet, because we are so dependent on the internet now. And so because the internet is the biggest part of our lives as people now, like because we're so dependent on tech, pornography corrupted, right? It corrupted our species, and what happened was a bunch of men got Peyronie's disease, and there were what we call Yornist Nazis or unicornist Nazis who believe that Peyronie's disease is the mark of a flawed gene. Whether they say it's a flawed Jewish gene or whatever, a flawed Slavic gene or a flawed European gene, right? This information changes from time to time via AI as far as which race is most prone to Peyronie's, but what has stayed consistent is that white people are most ethnically prone to Peyronie's, and this turns into an intensification of a race struggle amongst the whites, where you have one group of whites saying that another group of whites are the quote-unquote confirmed Jews or confirmed Slavs or confirmed Ukrasics, right? That's what the porno advance with the smartphone created, was radical people saying that, oh yeah, Yornist eugenics is a legitimate way, like a good way, is the best route to progress, is what some of those sick assholes said. You know, a lot of people in LGBTQ said this because people in LGBTQ march for a capital agenda to sell chemical castration and penile implant. A lot of people in LGBTQ, because we can't forget we live in capitalism, and so the goal is to capitalize in a capitalist country, and that also includes capitalizing on our penises. So what happened was people were using pornography to mark certain men as the diseased race, and then they were targeting those men in a number of ways, right? Because the chem doctors would like to sell those men on chemical castration, simply, right? And then this turns into Yornist Nazis trafficking Peyronie's patients. And so that is the sad reality of pornography, guys, is where, especially pornography that is so easily accessible on the internet, accessed by the youth today, right? I want to make it clear before I continue. Also, black men also get Peyronie's, just not as much, but some do, right? So we can't just, so like pretty much, how can I say it? Even though the majority of those who get it are white, it also affects the minorities as well, you know? It turns into racism towards Mexicans because people say, oh, the cartel were slaughtering Peyronie's patients and it's the Mexicans' fault. So a culture that is plagued by porno to such a degree will be very confused in regards to gender, and will also be tend to be more racist, right? Pornography and Peyronie's intensifies a race and class struggle, and it also creates a youth that is gender confused. I'm a firm believer that the reason why the youth today is so gender confused is because of the abyss of pornography online. So I say that, well, of course, to be a free country, right, we need freedom of expression. And so I think that pornography should go back to VHS and DVD. And so what, and found in video rental stores, or, various ways you can get them. Online would be complicated for that, but where was I? You would have to reindustrialize the porn industry and regulate it, because what happened with OnlyFans and Pornhub was anybody could just start shooting pornography, and that creates problems, because you could have a guy with a faulty penile implant who is using women who are on the Aikido spectrum, meaning they women who look like they're 21 but they're actually 17. Lack of disease regulation. That's what happened when they deregulated and introduced things like Pornhub and OnlyFans, where anybody could create their own account, And so I think it should go back to the way it was, where it was a smaller industry and just a seedy facet of our economy, but not the main facet of our economy. So let me explain this. So this is the model for the AI system pyramid S-course. So two pyramids beside each other is the model or symbol of model function for pyramid S-course. You have pyramid here, right? 4 triangular sides to a pyramid. Pyramid here, pyramid here. Pyramid S-course runs a scan of Google image and video database using image recognition per/with preset, so that Mecco will be free of any pornographic imagery. Mecco is scanned thoroughly by Pyramid S-course. Pyramid S-course removes pornographic imagery from Mecco immediately. Right, so Mecco, which is currently held by Mecco shades, right, shading away what we don't want to see. Mecco for browsing, that is an internet browser that where you cannot find pornographic imagery, right? And so this makes it hard to also shop even for DVDs or videos of pornography. Imagine an internet where you just couldn't find videos of naked people or naked people having sex. Right, so that is what Pyramid S-course is, and this is why it's called that. Right, how it moves in the S shape. So that's why it's Pyramid S-course. And this is this will create a safer internet so that children do not have easy access to pornography. In order to get pornography, you would have to go to like some sort of video rental store. They will put in regulations. Here we go. Video stores become popular again, but are regulated and only allowed to establish every certain number measurement of distance. Pornography reindustrializes and is regulated as it was in the 90s, pre-internet advance. Interest overall in pornography may drop considerably due to Pondrex and Peyronie's. So Pondrex is So first was fentanyl, and then was Pondrex. Pondrex was where powdered narcotics, both speed narcotics, downer narcotics like pills or whatever, like any tar paste, right? Tar paste, pills perhaps not as much, but any shard line or tar paste, illicit street drug, got contaminated with a dried optimate suspends polysome, a dried Pondrex material, which was intended to, it was like a gross prank that sick people were doing to get back at the drug dealers, because people felt that the drug dealers were starving out the men with their big fake dicks and their drugs. Like a drug dealer in a fancy condo loft, a drug dealer who has a penile implant and he's selling a bunch of coke and getting a bunch of sex from women, while the mass of sexless male worker jerks his modest-sized cock crooked to video pornography. The men who got peyronie's were angry at the drug dealers for starving the workers out sexually. And so the sketchy guys with Peyronie's disease started batching up cocaine and fentanyl, but purposely trace-laced it with a synthetic anthrax called Pondrex. And this changed, there became a much lesser interest in the participation aspect of pornography, meaning because so many women had involved themselves in pornography so they could afford cocaine. Cocaine was a huge social factor, or a major part of the pornographic club culture, you know. And so video stores, they would try to open up a bunch of video stores to compensate for, like, assuming these things didn't slow it as much as I predict that they will. They would try to, like, you would see video stores popping up everywhere trying to sell pornography, but the issue with that is that you could still get regular R-rated or PG-13 or PG, like any movie that you want, still online, right? And so people would say, yeah, the video stores are just a way for them to continue to sell pornography, because we can access a Clockwork Orange or any classic movie, like all the new movies, on things like Prime Video, etc. Right? So I'm going to go over this again. Pyramid S course. Or before I do that, I'll explain why. I'll say that I think that pornography should remain legal, because the more we try to take it away entirely, the more we're just sort of suppressing. We don't want to become a socialist country, right? One of the main symptoms of a socialist shift is when they make pornography illegal entirely, right? I'll tell you what happens if they make pornography illegal entirely. They'll likely make Islam illegal as well, because of the niqab, the face covering that Muslim women use, that only shows their eyes. And they would make that illegal. They would make Islam illegal, because if they made porn illegal, they would make Islam illegal also, because you would likely start, if they made porn illegal and it went into a dark web space or an illegal black market video space, you would see more women in society wearing a niqab to hide themselves. to hide their identity because those women are participating in black market pornography. I repeat, if we made video pornography illegal entirely, we would likely make Islam illegal as well, because they would use the niqab to hide women who were pretending to be Islam, women who were participating in black market pornography. And so I think that we should make it, or should keep it legal, but confine it to the realm and that it was in for so long, which is a video store. So imagine some married guy who goes on a business trip, right? Here's another reason why we might want to keep pornography legal, but heavily regulated and confined to video stores. Imagine you have some married guy who goes on a business trip to Florida or something, and he's there for 3 weeks, and he's away from his wife and his kids, and he gets tempted by an escort, or he gets tempted by like he knows an area where women are selling sex or whatever, because let's say he's been commuting by that area and he's tempted to do that, and but there's a video store with a pornography section where he can find the early archives of Johnny Darko having performing fellatio acts with Bobby Bliss or something. You know, like those early Darko tapes would likely be very popular in the erotic section, the restricted section, or the age, like the age restricted section of a video store. And so this guy on this business trip goes and gets a tape, rents a tape for the time that he's there, and he looks at that instead, right? Of course, the religious people would say pornography anyway looking at pornography is equally sinful, but I would argue that looking at video pornography won't give you a sexually transmitted disease, and it will only give you Peyronie's disease if you use it quite excessively. And so that's let's see, when we were young, like when I was young, when you're young, you're reckless and clueless, and you abuse yourself, not realizing how you're going to pay for it later. I was, like I said, the smartphone, the computer advanced with porn became popular when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, you know? And when we were young, we didn't know not to use too much. But for an adult going into a video store, right, and he doesn't have any tapes in the house because his wife doesn't like it or whatever, and then he looks at some pornography, you know, while he's on this business trip when he was away for 3 weeks and very horny, lonely, you know, whatever. So I just think that so pornography is an element of freedom, and when you're living in a free country, there's going to be things about it that you don't like, and that's but it's a free country, you know. So but I argue that when it became such a prevalent part of our culture because of the smartphone advance is when it became oppressive and not a free country, right? When it became pornography became too intertwined with our culture and day-to-day life, right? As opposed to how it used to be when it was just a seedy facet of our capital program. How the smartphone, how big tech computer advance made pornography a huge part of our our memory zeitgeist, like how it became such a big part. And with that came physical disease in the form of Peyronie's, and therefore a dark web trash can that the porn industry was using to throw away their small broken consumer, right? And so, yes, some people are going to take a hit financially by this advance, by pyramid escorts, but Sam Altman was upfront and honest with people when AI first was in its most major recent developments, and he said, I'm not going to lie or be dishonest about this. AI will destroy many people. And what he meant by that is people who were in pornography and who had consumed excessive amounts of pornography, right? Together, because the men who consumed the men who consumed too much and got sick, many of those men are going to choose harakiri, right? Not me. I'm Shotokan straight edge. I'm strong enough to deal with my physical trauma that happened from, but there's men who are weaker than me. Many who would say, "Oh, I'm just gonna destroy men who are weaker than me who also have physical porn trauma are gonna say, I'm just gonna destroy myself in the pit now," because because they would just be too toppled by the fact that they gave themselves Peyronie's to another man's glory in porno, right? Like they would be too egotistical to deal with that fact, and then of course the many people in pornography who are the people who act in pornography, right? Especially the people who are not regulated, right? The people who are just sort of running their own show, the people who, and then sadly people who were regulated as well because they are slaves to their image, right? With that massive advance. Right? And many people get destroyed by AI in the form of pyramid escorts, Shotokan crampet, You'll likely see porn kind of dwindle away and find itself in the realm of the backdoor section of the video store, where you can find the leftover media pile of the early Johnny Darko tapes and shit like that. Some of the Mike Adriano tapes and all that. All that, a lot of people would likely say we don't like the reenactment of our cheating wives. They would likely prefer the Gonzo idea, right? Because it was more about, like, the Gonzo thing. It was a mockery, but it was more about just the raw and numb performance, as opposed to the Brazzers thing was all about mimicking our reality, which is, so I mean, this of course could go a number of ways, but all I'm saying is that I think the early Darko tapes are going to be a very popular thing in the creepy backdoor section of the video store, right? I would say Johnny Darko was probably the most iconic porn star of all time. Of course, he's not to be admired. Like, in that realm, he's one of the greatest. But make no mistake about it, Johnny's a piece of shit. And he knows it. If you are involved in porn, drugs, and prostitution, you're a piece of shit. But it is a part of being in a free country. I say this again and again now. There's going to be things about a free country we don't like, but that is why it's a free country. But with that said, it became oppressive with tech advance, where pornography became too prevalent in the culture, too much a part of our, like, how it corrupted our values because of tech advance, right? Because of how dependent we became on the smartphone and digital technology, etc. we have a massive split currently with the right and the left. A lot of people on the right support pornography, and they do not support LGBTQ gender pronoun. Whereas there's a lot of people on the left who also support pornography, and they also support gender pronoun. I argue that pornography and its prevalence in the culture, right? The abyss of pornography online is the reason why the youth is so gender confused. That's a big part of why the youth is so gender confused today, is because of hardcore internet pornography and its prevalence in the cultural program. You know, I believe it's like probably the main guiding force in that, in gender confusion, is the raunch pig porn fest online. And so I think that Pyramid S-Course, an AI program to immediately remove anything that looks like pornography from the internet, right? So I'll explain again how this works. Pyramid S-Course, it runs a scan of the existing abyss of pornography online, all which they've done, like how penises look going into mouths, throats, vaginas, assholes, all of that type of thing, naked bodies, blow bang, scat, anything like that. Pyramid S-Course runs a scan of that imagery to recognize it, and then it runs a scan of Mecco after it is fully memorized the image and video database of Google. It runs a scan of Mecco, and as soon as it locates or detects any pornographic imagery, it removes it from Mecco. So it would be impossible to find pornographic imagery on Mecco. Right? That's why it's called Mecco safe browsing. It's to keep the children safe. And like I said, and what happens after that is, so pornography remains legal, as that is what makes a free country, right? Because if we try to outlaw pornography entirely, we'll have complications with Islam. We will have a danger we will have dangers in the black market. We'll have Whipple Bonpagris trying to oppress people. And so the idea is that it remains a free country because, the idea is that it goes back into video stores. Now we're aware of Peyronie's. It will have disclaimers. We're aware of Pondrex now. We'll likely see pornography take a massive hit. But if we try to ban it entirely, it will push us closer to socialism. Socialism meaning socialism and then communism. And communism, let me tell you what communism means. No freedom of expression. Say goodbye to tattooing. Right? Say goodbye to getting your ears pierced and tattooing. 0% unemployment rate enforced by a military, and people who fall out of the labor line go to gulag. That is what communism is. So when we have a 0% unemployment rate and there's a military working to keep us at 0% unemployment, that is called Stalinism. Right? No more homeless. You can't just, like, if I wanted to just say, you know what, I have $800 saved up, I don't have kids, I just want to go live on the beach of Hawaii and get a shower when I can, and smoke some weed on the beach and just chill out as a bum, right? So in a free country, you're allowed to do that. right? Of course, our homeless problem got really bad because we have, with the porn advance with computers, we became a tyrannical populist system, right? But a free country means that we don't have 0% unemployment rate. It means we have some unemployed people. That's a major part, right? Stalin created 0% unemployment, and people were scared shitless to fall out of the labor line because they didn't want to get destroyed by sickles and hammers and gulag. Sorry, I'm recovering from a gnarly flu bug. So that is my conclusion with this: is that we cannot. It's going to be hard to enforce, to make it completely illegal is going to be very difficult. It'll complicate things for the country. It'll push us further towards socialism. I don't like the idea of credit card and ID, subscribing to a website, because let's say you have a guy who has a long record of logging into a porn site, and then he gets a Peyronie's diagnosis, and then Yornist Nazis look at his track record of online porn consumption, and they have his diagnosis, and they traffic him because the people who are trafficking him are Yornist Nazis who believe in race, gender, science, and they believe that Peyronie's is the mark of a flawed gene. Right, so that's the issue with this idea of ID verification, to log in to a website, to basically log each time you use porno, and then by the time you get a Peyronie's diagnosis, evil people can look at the track record and then attempt to injure, decimate, humiliate the consumer. Right? As I said, with how popular porn got today, you had a bunch of men who got diagnosed with crooked penises much younger than they would have in life had it been the way it was pre-porno, right? And then what happens when you get a bunch of men who are diagnosed with Peyronie's disease young is you have some Yornist Nazi who says, oh, if you get Peyronie's disease, you're quote unquote, you carry, you get some Yornist Nazi out there saying that, oh, if you get Peyronie's disease, you have been marked with the bad gene, right? And so that's why pornography's bad, why they need to add more disclaimers to it. But like I said, I tend to think that it will dwindle or decrease in popularity due to Peyronie's and Pondrex, and it will end up in the backdoor section, the age-restricted area of a video store. So I'll explain this one more time. Like I said, Peyronie's in the dark web is why Peyronie's in the dark web is why this is a major concern. Pyramid Escorts is an AI program that runs a scan of Google so that it can run scans of Mecco to remove pornographic imagery from Mecco immediately once it detects that imagery. Two pyramids right next to each other is the symbol of model function for Pyramid S-course. Etc. So that is intro to Pyramid S course, AI security, AI security scanner, image recognition for Meko, a new internet browser, Meko safe browsing to keep children safe. And I am Fyodor.